and to celebrate and to think about Kwanzaa. So let me do a little introduction. Reverend Dr. Felecia Piggott-Long is the pastor of the Alpha Omega Church of Faith, incorporated in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where she is also an AP English instructor, an award-winning journalism teacher, an instructor of theater arts at George Washington Carver High School. She's earned her BA degree from UNC-Chapel Hill in English education, her MA from North Carolina A&T State University in English Afro-American Literature, and her PhD in English and African-American Literature from UNC-Chapel Hill. Also, in all of her spare time, a Masters of Theology degree from the Apex School of Theology. She performs with the North Carolina Black Repertory Company and freelances for various newspapers and journals. And since 1989, she's been leading the City-Wide Kwanzaa observance in Winston-Salem, and is also on the Triad Cultural Arts team. The handsome man behind her is Baba Joseph Anderson of Healing Force, her husband. So without further ado, thanks so much, guys, for being with us. We look forward to this time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Music. We're so glad to be among you today. We want to open with a welcome song. In the tradition of Kwanzaa, we normally start with a welcome song. So we invite you to join in with us. The word ashe
in the spirit of welcome means yes, yes, we agree.
Yeah.
So we're going to open up now. Ready? We welcome you right from the start. Ashe, Ashe, songs of love straight from the heart. Ashe, Ashe, we welcome you right from the start. Ashe, Ashe, songs of love straight from the heart. Ashe, Ashe, sing it from the Latvia. Ashe, Ashe, from the Latvia. Ashe, Ashe, everybody from the Latvia. Ashe, Ashe, from the Latvia. Ashe, Ashe. Yeah.
Ashe,
Ashe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let me share my screen so we can get started. Let's see. I think this is the one. Okay. So the title for presentation, Kwanzaa, a celebration of culture, community, and family. And of course, you already know my name, so we'll move forward. Let's see. Kwanzaa is a celebration of life. And that's me right in the front there. We're doing our welcome song. When we do our welcome song, we come out, we pass out the instruments to people in the audience who would like to participate. This is the first night at the Urban League right downtown in Winston-Salem. And anyone who wants to participate and those who are, you don't have to be trained to use the instruments. It's just a part of call and response. And call and response is very important in the Kwanzaa celebration. Kwanzaa is a time to celebrate African-American culture. This particular group, we were singing the Negro spirituals. You see the red, black, and green Bandera flag behind us. This is the flag that we use to represent red for the blood of the people, black for the land, and a green for the vegetation of the land. So it's we see it associated with, I guess, Marcus Garvey's movement but those three colors are very important for the festival of Kwanzaa. If you look at the 52 African flags for the continent of Africa, you will find that all of them have those three colors in it, red, black, and green, except for the flag from Liberia, which comes out of Old Salem in Winston-Salem, because they went back to Africa. And so the flag is actually red, white, and blue, just like the flag in America. So it is a time to celebrate our culture. Much of the vocabulary of Kwanzaa is in Swahili, and those are from East African countries of Kenya, Rwanda, Malawi, Tanzania. Some of the things that you see here on the table, the corn, you put the corn to see how many children that you have. There are 3 ears of corn here. So this is a kinara, the candle holder. The kinara, my mother made this candle holder. She made one for all of the children in our family. And so we all have one that we put on our tables. Actually, my kinara is out all year long, because Kwanzaa is not just limited to the 7 days of December the 26th through January 1st. Kwanzaa is a lifestyle. Kwanzaa is a value system. The Nguzo Saba, those 7 principles, are a lifestyle. And the platform that you see the kinara based on, that is the Mkika, the mat. We see the fertility symbol that represents the ancestors. We see the Sankofa bird that represents the, go back and fetch it. You know, learn your history before going forward. The Sankofa bird flies forward, but looks back. And of course, the fruits and vegetables represent the harvest of the first fruits that we are celebrating, because every child in the village is to receive a gift, is to receive some of the fruit. Kwanzaa is a time to connect with the local community. This is at one of the celebrations, the Delta Arts Center, which is associated with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. There are lots of people who come each night. Sometimes we have about 200 or 300 a night. And so these are some women who are dancing together as they come in. It's also a time to teach our children about their heritage. And so this was one of the exhibits at one of the Kwanzaas, and people, you know, children are very important for Kwanzaa because they receive many responsibilities. Sometimes they are the ones who light the candles. They're the ones who read the African proverbs. They're the ones who perform the poetry along with the adults. They may perform skits and plays. Some of them play musical instruments. They do all kinds of things to teach us and also to learn. It is also a time to honor our elders. Our elders are very important. Even the Bible says that God called the young because they are strong, but he called the elders because they know the way. And it is important that we honor our elders. I know the first time I went to the National Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem, one of the things that I bought at the market was an African outfit for my mother. It was from Nigeria. And when I told the gentleman, the vendor, that I was buying it for my mother, he bowed before me and he said, "I'm going to give you a discount because you are purchasing this for your mother. You are purchasing it for an elder, and the elders may not have as much time on the land as you, but because you gave them honor, I give you honor." Kwanzaa is also a time to honor our ancestors. And every time we wear our geles, our head wraps, we are connecting to the African continent. This is a mother and a daughter. The mother on the left is 108 years old, and her daughter on the right is 75. It is also a time to connect with our family and friends. It could be at a recreation center. It could be some of the Kwanzaas are at churches, schools. We have time to reconnect. It's like a big family reunion. Kwanzaa is a time to honor our ancestors with the libation, those who have enriched our lives. This is actually my brother, Ben Piggott. He has received many awards for his work with African-American males in the community. So I decorated this table, and he's using a bottle of water to pour into this plant for the libation, because this is the opportunity for us in the audience to call out the names of people who have inspired our lives, who have enriched our lives. It could be grandparents who have passed on. It could be celebrities who have passed on. Someone might want to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X, or whoever has inspired them. And we have an opportunity to open the floor and call out the names of these people, because when we recognize Kwanzaa, we're looking at generations past and generations present and those yet unborn. So we look at all three spheres. And so even though someone may have passed on, their spirituality is still important to us. And we remember them, because we teach our children, as long as we call out the names of these people, they still live, and they even live within us. It is a time to honor our African-American heroes and sheroes. This is actually a board that's on the inside of the Black Panther House, Black Panther Party House. So these are some of the pictures of people that we also honor during Kwanzaa. The man in the top left is Ernie Pitt, who started the Winston-Salem Chronicle, which is the African-American newspaper in our city. Right below him, Dr. Carlton Eversley was a local pastor. At the top, on the next row, Muta Evans was a radio talk show host. Below her, Sylvia Hamlin, who is the wife of Larry Leon Hamlin, who started the National Black Theater Festival and the North Carolina Black Repertory Company. At the top on the next row is my pastor, Dr. John Mendez, and Judge Hartsfield, right below him. Beside him is Dr. Virginia Newell, who was an alderwoman. She is now 104. Right beside her is Judge Jamila Biggs, and below her is Mrs. Mack, a very community-oriented leader. In Winston-Salem, our first observance of Kwanzaa was held at the East Winston Library in 1972. So that's a very old photograph of my husband there. And the young lady who is with him is now a nurse in the community. So we hold on to these ideas. The founder of Kwanzaa is Dr. Maulana Karanga. He's featured here with his wife. He is the director of African Studies at California State University, and he created Kwanzaa based on the idea of Matunde ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits in Swahili. So you see the candles, the black candle in the middle, the red to the left, green to the right. The red stands for struggle, the green is for hope. And as we light the candles, we know that the black candle is lit on the first night. And then we start going from left to right, struggle to hope, struggle to hope, struggle to hope, until all 7 nights are complete. So the first Kwanzaa observance was held on December 31st, 1966 in Long Beach, California. And that was following the Watts riot in Los Angeles. And here you see Dr. Maulana Karanga surrounded by some of the people from Los Angeles, along with his wife. The Watts riot took place in the Watts neighborhood and its surrounding areas. in Los Angeles from August the 11th to August the 16th, 1965. So we can see even in this picture here that policemen have several of the people from the community pulled over and against the wall. Perhaps some people have been looting, some people were setting things on fire. There were all kinds of things that were going on because of inequity and inequalities in the community and other things that happened at this time. More than 1,000 buildings were destroyed during the riot. So there was about $40 million worth of property damage done in Los Angeles, that area. During the Watts Uprising, that's another name for it, there were 34 people who were killed, 1,032 were injured. There were 4,000 arrested, and it lasted about 6 days, this riot. More than 14,000 National Guardsmen were called out to stop the rioting during the Watts Rebellion of 1965. And you can see them with their uniforms, and again, standing watch to see what will happen next. It all began when Marquette Fry, a 21-year-old African-American motorist, was pulled over for drunken driving. He was beaten, and he was driving his mother's car, and his mother's car was impounded. She only lived a block away, but they wouldn't allow him to take the car back. They impounded it, and the exorbitant fees that added up on the car kept him from retrieving the car. And so the man on the front right is Marquette Fry, and his brother is right behind him, and his mother is right beside him. So that's their attorney, his shoulder that you see, but they had to go to court, and of course he had to go to jail. And when he came out, when he saw the city, what had happened to the city, he said he just hung his head and cried. Professor Maulana Karenga saw what had happened, and he wanted to do something for the healing of this community. So he created a Pan-African organization called US, and it was based on Kwanzaa theory, Kwanzaa philosophy and culture, ways to rebuild a nation. Amiri Baraka and Ed Bullins from the Black Arts Movement, who were outstanding playwrights and poets, they also joined the organization. And according to Kwanzaa theory, the basic crisis in African-American life is a cultural crisis caused by enslavement and deculturalization, the ideological hegemony, and the growth of popular culture at the expense of national culture. So the theory had a threefold objective, and that is to transform the cultural context that people live in. We have to transform this neighborhood, and we'll also transform their mindset so that they are agents of their own liberation. And thirdly, to build an institutional base to expand on this transformation. This marks 55 years of Kwanzaa this year, and 55 is symbolic of transformation. Karenga identified 7 basic areas that define a culture. In the building of a culture, you need religion, you need history, you need social organization, economic organization, political organization, creative production, and ethos, which is the grounding belief system, the strivings for which you are motivated. And all of these basic areas were transformed into the Nguzo Saba. The Nguzo Saba are the 7 principles on which Kwanzaa is based, and the 7 candles that we light each night come from these principles. Umoja means unity. Kujichagulia is self-determination. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. Ujama is cooperative economics. And my family has been doing the Ujama program since 1989. Nia, which means purpose. Kuumba, which is creativity. Imani, which means faith. So all of these 7 principles, they have become the basis for African-American schools, charter schools all around the country, all around the world. I was watching a documentary this weekend called The Black Candle. And I didn't realize that Kwanzaa was being celebrated in France. I was looking at the people and they were speaking in another language, but they pointed out that we have a crisis of identification, a crisis of culture in France as well. So whether it's South Africa or Jamaica, a lot of different countries are beginning to adopt the Nguzo Saba for their lifestyle, for their basic value system. And it is a value system that's not just used December 26th through January 1st. Every day of the year, I should practice my creativity, finding creative solutions to problems. Every day of the year, we should practice unity in our communities and faith in our family and in our leaders and the things that we believe in. These principles, as I said, are used in schools and summer camps. And I see here, Miss America, she has 2 of these principles in her name. This is Miss America 2019, Nia Imani Franklin. She's actually originally from Winston-Salem, and her mother was my roommate in college. So she has Nia, purpose, and Imani, faith, in her name. And I will say that I remember when she realized that her father was dying for need of a kidney, and she let her father know, I would donate one of my kidneys. And that's what she did. I had a chance to meet her many times. And of course, they had a celebration and reception for her in 2019 when she was crowned Miss America. Each candle is lit to represent a principle of the Nguzo Saba for 7 different nights. But when we first started observing Kwanzaa, we did all 7 nights in one day. But each night, the leader will ask the question, Habari Gani, which means, what's the news? And then we are to respond with a principle. So on the first night, we light the black candle for Umoja. And I actually used, when my husband and I were married, I used the black candle as my unity candle. So we lit that candle for our wedding. And I guess the quote that goes with this principle is to strive for and to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. The succeeding candles are lit alternately from struggle, which are the red candles, to hope, alternately. So on the second night, then we would light that red candle for Kujichagulia, self-determination, which means to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves instead of being defined and created for and spoken for by others. I'm sure that many of you remember in 1990, we made a decision, African Americans made a decision that we would be called African Americans. We had been called Negroes, we had been called Black, but there are still some people who may have some controversy about it, but we wanted to use African American because it would connect us with a homeland, because we've seen people, French people come from France, Asian people. So we wanted to put the homeland in that title. Umoja, or unity, can be celebrated with a group dance, a group prayer, a libation, or any other shared cultural experience of value. We are here at the Urban League, and these young sisters are doing a dance for the first night of Umoja. And there are a lot of other things that happen that night. Someone received an award. We give awards to one hero or shero. Some people performed storytelling, poetry, all kinds of things, but the people in the community enjoy and participate. So there's call and response. I see people clapping as they're performing. They are clapping, and the call and response is very important. Kujichagulia, or self-determination, can be expressed through a naming ritual, through a scholarship, graduation, or the name even African American. Right here, these young people have been awarded a scholarship, and so they're all being recognized. And as we recognize each particular principle, there's a song like that first one, Umoja, Umoja, celebrate Umoja. And then the audience responds, Umoja, Umoja, celebrate Umoja. Kujicha Galia, Kujicha Galia. It's your turn. Kujicha Galia, Kujicha Galia. Thank you. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. And this, of course, is expressed through community endeavors. This is actually a back to school observance. And so again, Ujima is not just for the Kwanzaa observance, it's also throughout the year. So even in the community, a community where you might have children whose parents may not be as supportive, you want to make sure that they have those extra things for school, then you come together through collective work and responsibility and bring book bags, and we had book bags, socks, because some of the people in this particular community sometimes didn't even have underwear. They had underwear. We had all kinds of things that they could use for that back to school program. Ujima and Ujama, which is cooperative economics. Ujima, to build and maintain our community together, and to make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems, and to solve them together. And then Ujama, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. During the Kwanzaa celebration, we normally, my family would do Ujama Market. And so we had many vendors who would come, and we create a business fair. And so it would be an opportunity for you to see what people in the community are making. These posters are from the Huff Art Studio, and they were commissioned by the Nabisco Company. And James Huff and his wife, Ernestine Huff, and his son and daughter, all are artists. And the Huff Art Studio is on Patterson Avenue in Winston-Salem. This young lady is doing an Ujama Market presentation, because during the market, each vendor comes up and talks about their product. So she is advertising some, I guess, some jellies, and also chow chow, other things that she makes. We also have businessmen in the community who are in the audience, and business women. And we also have children who have their own businesses. So they participate in the Ujama Market as well. Nia, which means purpose. Kuumba is creativity, and they are celebrated on nights 5 and 6. Nia means to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. And then the Kuumba, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. So that is the creativity night. And that's always a night where young people are featured in a magnificent way. So in the spirit of Nia at the East Winston Library, that library is full of history. I don't know if you, on the walls, even behind them, there's a mural, an African mural behind the children. And to the left, they have pictures of some of the African-American high schools in Winston-Salem, and their graduating classes are up on the walls. And so we're joined in unity, singing, and it looks like they're doing the Harambe. Harambe, the 7 Harambes, and Harambe means let's pull together. Let's pull together. In the spirit of Kuumba, the North Carolina Black Repertory Company sponsors dramas and other creative productions. I guess you see me right there in the center. We're doing one of Langston Hughes's plays, Black Nativity. And there are young people and children who audition for this production. It is a musical, and it's an exciting production to see. As a matter of fact, it'll be coming up in December. On the Imani Night, which is the final night, the green candle is lit on January the 1st. And Imani, to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Those who have faith in a higher power, add that in there. But Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. It is a cultural holiday. But if people make it personal, and you're welcome to make it personal as well, whatever helps to motivate you and help uplift you spiritually and keep moving forward. On the final day of Kwanzaa, some communities celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation and freedom. And this is at one of the churches. We're singing together for freedom and recognizing, after reading the Emancipation Proclamation, we still rejoice every January 1st. For my efforts to establish and maintain the traditional 7 nights of Kwanzaa in Winston, I'm featured with 60 other people on a permanent sculpture downtown. I'm featured with one of my friends, Tommy Priest, who supports a lot of local artists in his coffee shop. And if you have the opportunity to go downtown on Marshall Street in Winston-Salem, you'll see that mural, that permanent sculpture. So that was the end of the presentation. Perhaps you could help me with my time, Dr. Let's say 11:34. Okay. I want to find out if you all have any questions that you would like to ask about Kwanzaa, because there's so much that can be discussed.
Yeah, you have given us so much to think about. I mean, I really appreciate the beautiful outline of the individual days. And when I have a question about when it was starting, right? When it got started, when they're starting in Los Angeles, and you know, how was it originally received? Did especially like in like Black churches, did people seem to embrace this or feel like this was, you know, how did it begin?
Well, according to the documentary I watched this weekend, The Black Candle, it was the first time many of them had felt included in American culture, because that was part of the problem. It wasn't just the motorist who was pulled over for drunk driving, because prior to the motorist being pulled over and arrested and beaten, the people felt disenfranchised. They lived in low income housing. There were a lot of inequities Their schools were not up to snuff, and they just felt like they were marginalized and disenfranchised throughout the community. And every day they felt that way. So it was an identity crisis going on. So when Kwanzaa came out, it finally shined the light on them and gave them an opportunity to celebrate who we are, because they had a chance, the children had a chance to use their talents and gifts. They had a chance to celebrate their heroes, because they weren't learning anything in their classrooms about people who looked like them. They were left out in every sphere that they could think of. So it was very well received. It took a while to get to certain communities, but the once everybody found out about it, because even in Winston-Salem in 1972, some people were celebrating it in their homes before it came out in a public setting. But once it started in the public setting, it just kept growing and growing. And today, like last year, it was virtual, and I was wondering how it was going to work that way. But we had over 5,000 people to come to the celebration last year. Virtually gave us a really great opportunity to expose this holiday, because a lot of people who had never been in the traditional settings, they came to the virtual one. So a lot of churches celebrate Kwanzaa because it's some people say, well, isn't that the African Christmas? But it really has nothing to do with Christmas. In fact, the gifts that are given at Kwanzaa are called Zawadi gifts, and they normally are not purchased in a commercial setting. They could be if it's a book that's been published, but a lot of times they'll give a book that was written. Sometimes might make someone a quilt. They might crochet another garment. They might make a beaded necklace. It's something that you make. It's something that might be a card that you design, jewelry that you design, but it is normally moving away from the commercialization of certain holidays that we have seen. So it has been very well received, and it continues to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's so, I really appreciate that. Those gifts just even highlight, the idea of creativity, self-determination, right? I mean, I just think that's fantastic. I wonder, for those who are listening, does anyone have any questions? I know one of the questions asked in the chat was answered earlier. Any other questions that people have, feel free to use the chat box or unmute yourself.
What question was answered earlier?
It was a question about how you pronounce the second day's word. And yeah, and you sang it for us, so like
yes, that is a challenge.
I had one other question about the theory of is it Kwanzaa theory?
Yes.
Could you kind of just give us a little bit more clarity about that? I see the three principles behind it, but are there like a key thinker right now, that's somebody who's really talking about this more in depth that we could find out more about? Or
well, actually, again, we go back to Dr. Maulana Karenga, because his organization, US, which is, I guess, us Black people, I think that's what it stands for, at least according to the documentary. But we know that today Kwanzaa is more diverse. There are more people than just one race coming now. It's very open to all kinds of people, and all ilks, and we're glad to see that. But he does have books that he's written, and because he is the head of the African Studies Department, it was at University of California. So if you just pull up his name, I'm sure it will come up. When I was writing my dissertation, the section on the Black Arts Theater, Amir Baraka and Ed Bullins are two other people who joined with with Karanga in trying to rebuild this community. And so they tried to write plays that went along with Kwanzaa Theory, because they had been studying Yoruba culture, and Yoruba culture connected with the Kwanzaa theory. And so several of the plays that came out of the Black Arts movement can be associated with, there are Umoja plays that talked about African-American people of the diaspora coming together. There were plays that were based on Nia, purpose. What purpose were we created for? There were plays that connected with Imani, faith, faith in our leaders. So they would write plays about our leaders, Harriet Tubman, or anyone who they wanted to celebrate. So this theory continues to be used because for schools, and a lot of people use those 7 basic principles, but even though they came from Swahili, from those East African countries. So it's connected also to those East African countries. So his research brought him to this discovery, but he's the main one, Dr. Milana.
Okay. That's so helpful. I mean, you have given us so much to think about, and I greatly appreciate not only you being here, but also your husband, Brother Joseph. Thank you for being with us also, and for singing that opening welcome. And I just really, really value time. I know you're in the midst of a planning period, so you probably have very soon students coming in to, to shift your gears and talk about other things. But again, on behalf of the University of Pikeville, we thank you so much for this lesson today.
Well, I have really enjoyed it. And normally at the end of Kwanzaa, we do a recitation that everyone stands to repeat. So I'm gonna stand. And I invite all of you, if you want to stand and participate, to repeat after me. I won't tell you anything negative to repeat, but it does have actions that go with it. Minute by minute.
Minute by minute.
Hour by hour.
Hour by
Hour
hour.
by hour.
If you lose your history,
If you lose your history,
you will lose your power.
you lose your power.
Minute by minute.
Minute by minute,
Hour by hour.
hour by hour.
If you lose your faith,
If you lose your faith,
you will lose your power.
you will lose your power.
If it's to be,
If it's
If it's to be,
it's up to me.
it's up to me.
I feel good about myself.
I feel good about myself.
I feel good about the people around me.
I feel good about the people around me.
I feel goodness all around me.
I feel goodness all around me.
And it shall follow me for the rest of my life.
And so follow me for the rest of my life.
Because I walk with good.
And I walk with good.
And I talk with good.
And I talk with good.
And I am good.
And I am
good.
And that feels real good.
That feels real good.
Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
Never let it rest.
Never let it rest.
Till your good is your better.
Till your good is your better.
And your better is your best.
And your better is your best.
All people.
All people.
We have been great.
We have been great.
We shall be greater still.
We share the greatest.
Lose not faith.
Lose not faith.
Lose not courage.
Lose not courage.
Move forward.
Move forward.
Uplift the human race.
Uplift the human race.
And we do Harambe. We pull the fingers open down to our hearts, and we do 7 Harambes, which means let's pull together. And we hold the 7th Harambe as long as we can. Harambe.
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 Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was great.
Well, I do that with my students sometimes when I feel that they just need a little pick me up. And when I got through it one time, I looked over in the corner and there was a student shout. At the end, he was just shouting and rejoicing. So I said, well, it must have worked.